Hey guys, what's going on? Today we are going to do my freezing cold winter makeup routine. This is obviously a lot of makeup. This isn't like I'm just running a quick errand. This is something that I wear when I actually have an appointment or something like that. Now you can obviously add more to this. I'll go through that in the video if you want to, but in the winter, I mean, all year round, my eyes are kind of watery, but especially in the winter when it's like 12 degrees like it is today in Chicago, and it has been for the past few days, I just can't take eyeshadow on my eyes. So I like to kind of focus on the other elements of my makeup. Again, I'll go into this in the video, but you can always heighten this by adding some false lashes if that's your cup of tea for every day. I can pull that off in the winter, but I wanted to do a video without it for you guys today. Or you can exchange this lip for some kind of bright lip and really elevate the look. So if you're interested in seeing my tips and tricks for a winter makeup routine, go ahead and keep watching. So I think we're all familiar with the saying, your makeup's only gonna look as good as your skin looks under it. So you wanna make sure to really prep your skin, especially in the cold, windy winter weather. Chicago is super windy, so I definitely like to prep my skin, even with SPF. I know in the winter people often forget SPF, forget SPF, but you wanna make sure to do that as well in the winter, especially with the wind. So the first thing I did was I washed, moisturized, and prepped my face, and then I went ahead and applied my primer. As for what I use for moisturizer, I use CeraVe, I use hyaluronic acid, I use an SPF, and then I let that sink in for about 15 minutes, and then I let my primer sit in again for about 15 to 20 minutes, which I know is excessive, and some people don't have the time for that, and that's okay, but I did. So what I used for my primer is the Aucoin, the Primed Skin Developer. I'm really liking this stuff. It's really hydrating, and I really like how it makes my skin feel. And then I use a little bit of the Dr. Brandt Pores No More right here, because that's where I get larger pores. And then I also like to prep my lips, especially in the winter, because they get super chapped. So I went ahead and scrubbed my lips with the e.l.f. sugar scrub type stuff. I really like this because it's in the form of a lipstick, and it's just really easy to use. And then on top of that, I applied a little bit of Aquaphor to prep everything for the perfect makeup application. Now this one is gonna be over the top. There's a lot of products I use, but it does make my makeup last all day, and it looks good all day long, from the time I put it on to when I go to sleep, and I don't even have to blot during the day or touch up whatsoever. So the first thing I'm gonna use is the Born This Way foundation. I use two colors because I'm in this weird in-between tan. I use Golden, Beige, and Snow. So I use this because this foundation is really hydrating. It has coconut water and it has hyaluronic acid, so it makes my face look really plump and hydrated, and it doesn't sink into my fine lines through the day. A telltale sign for me when foundation is gonna start breaking up is when it starts to break up around here, and this does not do that for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply that. You all know how I apply my foundation at this point, or everybody applies their foundation differently. You apply it how you wanna apply it. I'm gonna go ahead and just use my LA Girl makeup sponge, apply that all over my face, and I'm gonna go ahead and fast forward through that, but basically I'm just gonna stipple this all over my face. So a couple of things I wanted to point out that I hope you saw through fast forwarding. I did take the foundation, especially because my hair is up in such a tight ponytail today, and I took it into my hairline because you want to make everything look like one color. My skin is a lot more tan than my body, so I'm sure you could see there was a very big difference between the foundation color. So you just want to make sure you take it into the hairline and then up onto your ears if your body is a different color, because your ear, or my ears at least, get super red during the winter, especially when it's cold and windy. So I like to make sure I have some foundation on there just to kind of combat some of that. And I made sure to apply a pretty light layer. I'm not caking this foundation on. I didn't go overboard, and I tried to avoid the areas where I'm going to apply concealer, because I think it can get cakey really fast when you do that, and it's really easy to start to bring everything up. And I do touch the lids of my eyes slightly with whatever is left on my sponge just to start to combat some of the veinage and discoloration on my eyes, but I don't apply a heavy layer all over my face at all, and I certainly try to avoid any areas where I'm going to apply concealer because I just don't need the extra coverage to look cakey, if that makes sense. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use 2 concealers. Again, I know this is a little bit extra and not necessary, but this is just what I found through experimentation works for me. I'm gonna use the Catrice Cosmetics Liquid Camouflage High Coverage Concealer in the color 020, and then I'm gonna just use a little bit of my Tarte Shape Tape in medium. I use mostly Catrice because I think it's a little more hydrating under my eyes, and I have very fine lines under my eyes that just are kind of creasy no matter what. And when I use all of Shape Tape, it just looks a little dry and too creasy. So I find that the Catrice works best. And then I do apply just a little bit of the medium in the inner corner to add a little bit of coverage because that's where most of my discoloration is. So I don't use a crap ton of this. Like, this might be a little more than some people use, but I mean, I think on today's world of YouTube, you see people like really heavily apply this stuff, and I just don't need to. I'm not gonna take it down my nose because in the winter time especially, my nose gets really dry, and when I apply concealer on there, it just kind of highlights that. And it's the same thing for up here. I used to apply concealer a lot up there, but especially this line right here from raising my eyebrows so much from having hooded eyes, I find that it just intensifies that, and I don't like it. And I especially don't want to like highlight that. So now I'm taking the medium, which is a little closer to the foundation color I used, and I'm going to actually apply that onto my chin because that gets really red, and I kind of rub my face a lot, especially during the winter around there, so I like to have a little more coverage. Same thing around my nose, which is constantly running. I like to apply a little bit extra in the medium color because it's more towards the color of my skin, again, right there. So now I'm gonna go ahead and just blend this out. And just to note, while I blend this out, I try to avoid the super inner corner until I blended most of the concealer out, just because again, it tends to get cakey really fast for me in there. And then with whatever's left, I'm just gonna take that onto the lid. And I literally just stopped blending, and you can already see it's creasing. Like I said, I just have fine lines under there, and there's not really anything I could do. So before that gets even more creasy, I'm gonna take my RCMA No Color Powder, and I'm just gonna take that on a Real Techniques brush, and I'm going to start to work that into the eye where I just set. I'm only taking this under the eye. I'm gonna set with a different powder, but what I like to do is load the brush up, start from the outside, make sure you've blended out as many creases as possible, and then I start setting. I'm not gonna really bake, I'm just making sure that I really set under the eyes as much as I possibly can. And as you can see, I don't like to really highlight too much under here. Like, I know a lot of people like to really like make it light under the eyes. I don't prefer that. I think it does not flatter my eyes, so I try to keep it maybe one shade lighter than the rest of my face. But then I add in that Tarte Tape Shape in medium, and it pretty much makes it the same color. I just feel like I highlight too much of the discoloration when I highlight under there, and then I'm just gonna set on the eyelids. And this is pretty much how I prime my lids. And then for the rest of my face, I'm gonna take a mixture of my Maybelline Superstay Better Skin in the color 30 and my Covergirl Advanced Radiance in the color 110. I know these are really different colors, but when I mix them together, it just works out really well for me. And I'm gonna take that on a Real Techniques big fluffy brush, and I just kind of like dip, and I don't want to go too heavy on this, so there's not a ton of product on here, and I'm just gonna set the rest of my face. And I probably don't need to do this, but I think that it just helps applying the rest of the powders on my face, and it makes everything blend a little more seamlessly. And you saw in the fast forward, I did take the foundation down my neck. Like, yes, I have a turtleneck on and it's gonna get makeup on it, but at least my skin will match. So I definitely want to take that down the neck a little bit and onto the ears. And then I'm gonna take that smaller brush that I set under the eyes with, and I'm just gonna take a little bit of both of those powders, and I'm really gonna kind of work that into my lovely wrinkle from raising my eyebrows, just to set that a little more and try to prevent as much wrinklage as possible. The same right here. And that is it as far as the base. So the next thing I'm gonna do is my eyebrows. For this, I like to use my Anastasia Brow Wiz. This is a brow pencil. And then to set, I like to use my Brow Stylist Plumper by Loreal. I cannot find a way to make my eyebrows stay in perfect place all day long. I have not tried that soap method because it's kind of weird to me. I've tried hairspray. I've tried the strongest hold hairspray possible. I feel like I've tried every single brow set on the market and nothing will keep my brow, like my brows just want to do this. They naturally want to lay down like that. Maybe I should just try to fill them in like that so they could stay down, but I also like the look of brows that are kind of pushed up. So I don't know, this is the best thing that I found so far. If you guys have any suggestions, let me know below, but I'll go ahead and apply my brows and fast forward through this because it's super boring and takes a long time. That actually went a lot quicker than it normally does. I'm not sure why, but I'm happy about it. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna bronze. I'm using the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. I love this stuff and it's really natural, so it looks good in the winter, unless you wanna look like you just took a tropical vacation, which is totally cool. I like to look like that sometimes, but this is super natural for winter, and I think nobody's gonna look at you and be like, did you just go on vacation, or are you trying to compensate for the cold? You know what I mean? So I'm just gonna go ahead and apply this. This is a Wet n Wild brush. I don't know why the brush set from Walgreens doesn't include the numbers. It's kind of annoying, but it's just, they're like fluffy brush, you know what I mean? So I'm just gonna apply this in all of the normal areas where the sun would hit me. And again with this, I'm taking this into my hairline so there's not like a harsh stop, because you want to make everything look as natural as possible. And then I also like to take a smaller fluffy brush. This is an LA Girl 201, and I like to stick with that same bronzer, and I just start to kind of deepen these lines. And then I like to blend that out with just my beauty blender. And then I'll take that just on the bottom of my nose as well. I don't like to contour down my nose because I just think it looks really bad on my skin. And then I like to make sure I blend everything out. Again, I'm taking that Real Techniques brush that I just applied a little bit of powder on, and I like to blend the edges. Sometimes I do this with a beauty blender as well. Next step is blush. I like to go for more of like a pinky blush, and you want to make sure you use a long wearing blush. Blush for me comes off really fast, blush and highlight, I don't know why. So I like to use my Tarte Amazonian Clay a lot, but I just picked up this Kevin Aucoin blush in Shadore, and I absolutely love it, and it lasts all day, and you literally only need to like dab like that and you have enough product. So I'm gonna go ahead and just apply this to my cheeks. Make sure that's nice and blended out. I don't think I really need to blend it too much, but I don't know if it's just force of habit, but I always just kind of like blend over it. So we're all set there. So the next thing I'm gonna do is highlight. I like to set my face at this point before highlighting because I like the effect that the like kind of dampened look gives your face. So I'm gonna go ahead and use my Smashbox Photo Finish Primer. We're gonna set with a different primer. Again, super extra. Sorry about the noise, my radiator is starting to kick on because, let me just show you. It is 12 degrees in Chicago today. Super cold. So, and it was the same yesterday, and I think it's gonna be the same. So I'm just gonna kinda set a little bit And then while that is still drying, I'm gonna take a Wet n Wild highlighting brush, and I'm gonna use my Mary Lou Manizer, which is like one of my go-to highlights, and then a little bit of my Dose of Colors Katie X Desi in Fuego. And I'm just gonna kind of dip into both of these. Both of these last all day on my skin, and it's super hard for me to find a highlight that lasts all day. And I'm not gonna like crazy highlight. I mean, this might be crazy for some people. Looks like I've got a little bit of texture today, but that's okay. I'm just gonna kind of do this in a little C on both sides. And then once most of that is off, I just take whatever's left and go right above my eyebrow because I like that effect, and my chin. And then down the nose, I'm gonna take my ring finger and I'm just gonna start to put that on the bridge of my nose and then right on the tip. And then I'm gonna take a smaller brush. This is an Eco Tools concealer brush, and I'm gonna throw that right there. And this just kind of opens up the eyes for me. And then with that same concealer brush, this might be a little big. Usually I do this with my finger, but you know, whatever. And then I go ahead and just hit everything with my Beauty Blender to melt everything into the skin. Okay, so here's what I do when it's super cold. My eyes cannot take eyeshadow even on warm days when it's windy out. I just have the world's most sensitive eyes, so I do not bother with shadow. If I feel the absolute need to apply some kind of shadow, I will use something like a matte light brown, maybe 2 shades darker than my skin tone. But typically in the winter, I want to focus on just big lashes and no eyeshadow because it's just pointless. My eyes start to water and then my makeup just starts to look like crap after a couple hours if I'm going in and outside. So I'm just taking my face powder. I'm just taking the Maybelline Super Stay one, and I'm gonna apply that onto my lid a lot more densely than I did at first when I just set everything. And this is just gonna make sure that everything does not crease throughout the day. And then with just a little bit of the highlight that we used, I'm just gonna really bring that up here a lot tighter towards the brow bone. And again, when you have hooded eyes, you don't want to like highlight your hood, so keep this pretty tight towards the eyebrow. Just gonna go ahead and define that a little bit more. This is like my like focal point because I don't apply eyeshadow. You could totally apply eyeshadow if you don't have issues with your eyes in the winter. I mean, I just have it all year round, but in the winter it's just, I've learned it's totally not worth it for me to apply any eyeshadow because it's just a waste of my time. So now I'm gonna go ahead and curl my lashes and then apply a coat of my mascara. I'm using a waterproof mascara. I need to do it in the winter again because my eyes water. I just have no choice. So I'm gonna use my Lash Paradise from Loreal. It's waterproof. It makes my lashes look really big. So I'm gonna do that off camera. I'm just gonna curl my lashes and then apply 2 coats of this, and then I'll meet you right back here. So the 2 coats of mascara are on, and then I went ahead and applied this Rimmel Exaggerate Waterproof, just a nude liner. This is waterproof, so it lasts all day. George is in my lap if you see this little head down here. All we have to do is apply our lip, and this is where I like to have a little more fun because I don't have as much of an issue with my lips as I do with my eyes. Now some people might have really, really, really dry, chapped lips in the winter. Sometimes my lips do get that way. I wouldn't go with a matte lip if that was the case, but I did want to mention I really like to have fun with lip colors, and I especially like to use the Mega Last Liquid Catsuit by Wet n Wild. This is in the color Flame of the Game. This, with such a simple look, just elevates the look so much, and people will be like, oh my gosh, what is your lip color? That is gorgeous when you wear like a bright lip with kind of a neutral look. But today I'm gonna keep it a little more neutral. And you definitely want to make sure with anything in the winter, in the summer too, if you want your lips to last, use a lip liner and fill in your lips so you have that extra layer of coverage. So I'm gonna go ahead and first line my lips with MAC Whirl. MAC Whirl was the first lip liner I ever bought from MAC when I started doing makeup in college. I worked across from the MAC counter, and I ended up becoming friends with one of the MAC ladies there, the artists, and she told me to buy this and it would work for anybody, and I'll never forget that, and I always have this in my kit or my personal stash. George, I gotta line my lips here, buddy. So I've lined and filled with Whirl, and then I'm gonna go in with the L'Oreal Infallible Paint and Spicy Blush. This is such a pretty color, and I just rediscovered this a couple weeks ago. The formula of these are so comfortable and so beautiful. It's almost like a satin finish. I don't know if they claim to be matte. I think maybe it does. I can't remember, but it's just the most beautiful finish. And I need to get more because I love it. I wish you guys could see he's just like so involved right now, right? He's so involved. He just wants some attention. So after I put that on, I'll just take my finger, press it in, because I don't know what kind of magic this is, but I feel like it just makes everything look a lot better. And then by this time, my lashes are completely dry, and I like to, and I know this might not be the best thing for your lashes, but I just really like it. When they're dry, I like to just curl one more time and just be careful when you peel it off. I like to kind of like peel it like that because I don't want it to pull my lashes off because they are a little sticky. So just be careful. But you see how that just kind of like makes my lashes stay up, and they literally stay like this all day long. So the last step is setting. I prefer Urban Decay All Nighter. That's my like go-to, but I do like the Makeup Forever Mist and Fix, and this is what I have right now. So just make sure you give yourself a nice good set. And then, you know, I have a little fan, but my cat is sitting in front of me, and if I turn on that fan, my cat goes nutso, and I don't want to turn it on and make him go nutso. So I'm just gonna use my hands, and then I'll just take a good look in the mirror and see if there's anything else I want to add. Like if I wanted to add any more highlight, which is something I typically do. I don't have anything else on this brush, but I'm just gonna, whatever's left, kind of amplify. And that is it for my cold winter makeup routine when I have something going on. This obviously isn't an everyday look because this is a lot of makeup, and it's a lot of steps, and it's a lot of products, and it's not like all drugstore cheap products. But this is when I have something going on and I want to look put together, but I know it's going to be cold and windy and my skin just can't take certain things. So I hope this was helpful to some of you. Obviously this isn't going to be for like everybody, but I hope it at least gives you some like inspiration and some tips and tricks if you struggle with like watery eyes and watery nose and all of that fun winter stuff. Living in this windy city, I have definitely picked up some tips on how to make this last, and I swear to you, this lasts from the moment I put it on until I go to bed, and it looks 150%. This foundation, the Born This Way foundation, is my holy grail foundation. I absolutely love it. Anytime I wear it, from morning to night, people are like, what kind of foundation do you have? What is that? I absolutely love it. Thank goodness for this. So if you have oily skin, this one might not be for you because obviously the Born This Way foundation is kind of radiant and glowy, and that might break down on your skin. So just pick and choose pieces from this tutorial as you would with any tutorial out there on the internet as it helps you. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. That helps me a lot. And if you want to see more videos from me, hit that subscribe button. Otherwise, thanks so much for hanging out, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye. Hey guys, today we are going to talk about my skincare routine. Basically, I wake up every day and do nothing. My lips with a